You think you know James Cameron? Well, here's some things you may not have known about the Avatar director. Unlike many other directors, James Cameron did not start his life with dreams of directing films. He bounced between schools in the early years of his life, attending Stanford Collegiate School in Ontario, but dropping out of Sonora High School after his family moved to California. He attended Fullerton College, a community college, for physics before switching his major to English and dropping out in 1974. Instead, Cameron held several jobs, one of note being a truck driver. He would write when he could, and when he found time, he would go to the University of Southern California's library and read student papers on a myriad of topics concerning special effects and film technology. He would go so far as to take notes if he couldn't make a copy of the papers for himself. He never acted upon his hobby until he saw Star Wars in 1977. He quit his job driving trucks, and upon reading a book called The Screenplay by Sid Field, penned his own 10-minute-long script. He titled it Zeno Genesis, and with the help of two friends, successfully raised $20,000 needed to rent all of the necessary equipment to film it. On the first day of filming, they disassembled the camera to understand how to properly use it, and then proceeded to use half the day reassembling it and teaching themselves how to operate it. Zeno Genesis afforded Cameron his foot in the door to the film industry. While continuing to teach himself about filmmaking, Cameron worked on several films in varying capacities, though predominantly as an art director. However, Cameron didn't find himself directing films until 1981 when the director of Piranha 2, The Spawning, walked away from the project. Cameron was working as a special effects director, and the producer handed him the role. It wasn't until Cameron, who was living out of his car at the time, came up with the concept of the Terminator and wrote the screenplay for it. He shopped the idea to several production companies, and while many were interested, the fact that Cameron was largely inexperienced in directing deterred them. A previous co-worker, Gail Ann Hurd, caught wind of this and, having just opened her own production company, agreed to purchase the rights to Terminator under the express condition that Cameron would be the only one to direct it. It is this decision that Cameron credits with launching his career. Terminator isn't the first time that Cameron has waived pay in favor of launching his vision to the silver screen. When Titanic was due to debut, several critics felt that the film was going to be too big and too expensive to ever be profitable. To prove them wrong, Cameron refused his share of the film's profits, as well as his $8 million directorial fee. Cameron sneaks his presence into most of his films. His voice can be heard on Sarah Connor's answering machine in Terminator, his brother plays a dead crewman in The Abyss, the throes of death emitted by the T-1000 in Terminator 2 belong to Cameron, and in Titanic, it's Cameron who hollers all full ahead. James Cameron invented an entirely new digital movie camera system with camera engineer Vince Pace titled the Fusion Camera System. The system shoots stereoscopic 3D. Cameron had been toying with the idea for 5 years prior to taking steps in 2004 to make it a reality. The NASA Advisory Council counts Cameron among its members. The group meets quarterly to review and analyze NASA's plans for manned spaceflight. Cameron has a vested interest in the manned missions to and eventual colonization of Mars. He has given speeches and raised funds for the Mars Society, a group dedicated to the promotion of Mars colonization. Even the Mars Science Laboratory science team called Cameron one of their own in 2011. Cameron loves the concept of manned spaceflight to Mars, and he has expressed interest in making a 3D film about it. Cameron is a Canadian citizen, though he has lived in the United States since 1971. He has submitted his application for citizenship, but withdrew it after the 2004 election that was won by George W. Bush. And here's a bonus one. James Cameron has been cited by several personalities in the industry as being curt, rude, and prone to holding those around him to impossible standards. Perhaps this is due to Cameron's extensive experience in virtually every aspect of filmmaking, be it directing, set design, special effects, editing, you get the idea. Even Jamie Lee Curtis attributes his manner to his knowledge, saying, quote, "He knows more than everyone doing the job." Though Cameron has been lauded by many actors, Curtis included, as treating them very well and being very understanding and generous. Oh, and if your cell phone rings while you're on set, James Cameron has this tendency to use a nail gun to nail it to the wall. That's it for this episode of You Think You Know Movies. Make sure to subscribe, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and get the latest movie and TV news on ScreenCrush.com.